Alright, I've just recently bought this Audi Q3 and it's a great car except for one thing. It has this engine start-stop system here which is by default always on, and I called Audi to see whether that could be changed to default so that it was always off, so you could switch it on when you wanted it. Not possible because it would change the CO2 bracket of the car. It seems to me that somebody sitting in a city somewhere has seen lines of traffic where the traffic stopped and thought it would be a really great idea to be able to reduce the engine emissions, and I completely agree with that. But I live in the countryside and it's really not appropriate or helpful to have this system. So I looked online at what the options might be. There are some people that use some software changes to sort of trick the engine management system, but I don't really like that idea. So every time I get in the car I have to press this button, irritating. So I thought that there might be some sort of way of like having a piece of hardware to press the button for you. That's what you really needed, and here is something like that. It's not an expensive piece of kit. It also appears to be fairly simple to wire in, so it's a matter of the brown wire is the earth wire, the red wire is a positive wire, and then this is basically the button press. This wire here, the blue wire, is effectively what goes live when you actually press the button. So it's a clever little piece of stuff, and I'm just going to, as I go through this fitting process, I'm just going to document it and put a little video online in case anybody else wants to do this, so that they can change it. It's also got a nice feature in that it's got like a service mode, so by pressing this when it's installed for 5 seconds, you can switch it so that the unit is completely switched out. So to all intents and purposes the car is in basically factory condition, and then you come and press it for 5 seconds and then it switches the unit on, and when the unit's activated, what it does is it remembers whether you've had it switched on or off. So the perfect piece of kit. Alright, so I've managed to get this unit forward, and I've done that by using one of these plastic clip things to lever this out either side. Popped it forward. I need to move the gear stick back to get it out, which I shall do now. So pull that up. Bloody hell, of course it's switched on now. Anyway, well, that's that forward, and I think I can then find a way to put these out now. That's right, so these popped, that's good. So this is the thing that I need to get access to. To this wiring diagram here, the wires that I'm after are the brown wire on pin 1, I'm after the blue and black wire on pin 5, and I'm after the blue and green wire on pin 3. So yeah, they'll be in here. I shall find these momentarily. Okay, so this is the plug, and I've popped this open here, so we should be able to pop these contacts out. These are the contacts that we want here. So pin 1, the brown wire there, pin 3, the blue and green wire, which is that's the one that goes momentarily positive when you press the on-off switch, and then the positive, which is coming in, which is the black and blue wire, which is on pin 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I pop these pins out, strip the wires back, I can get some heat shrink on the contact. I've also pulled back this cable tape. I've got some more of that, so when I've finished it'll all be hidden away. It will look no different, so I'll come back to that shortly. And what I've done is I've pared back a little bit of the insulation on this positive wire. I'm just going to test that now with this meter. Yeah, there you go. That's reading 11.7, 12 volts. That's good. Now the brown wire, this is the earth wire, is popped out, stripped back a little bit here, so I haven't had to cut the wire. Just check now on an earthing point on the door there. Just check for continuity. Yeah, that's good. So that's it's directly connected. Oh yeah, and you can see what I've done there behind. I've attached the red wire to that black and blue wire, soldered it, and just put a bit of shrink wrap. That's why I've popped these pins out, so I can slide shrink wrap up there without cutting the wire. So there's the wire wrapped around there. I'm just going to solder that now. That's nicely soldered up there. Good connection. That'll never go wrong. And we'll get some shrink wrap on that in a second. Okay, so there's now, that's the earth wire soldered and connected, and shrink wrap shrunk with a soldering iron in position. Just now got this final wire to connect here. This is the actual switching wire that's controlled by that controller there, and then we'll be finished with the socket and it'll be tidying up. Okay, so now it's the green and black attached to the blue wire. That's the what is it, they call it, the SSA plus line, because this is an SSA plus car. In other words, that switching signal is a positive signal, positive voltage. So now solder. So here it is, wrapped up. The module, the wires are all gathered together, and I've put a little bit of tape over this so it doesn't rattle about if it's bumping into things. So that should be, yeah, you'd have to look very hard to see that that's been fitted, I think. Okay, so I've tested the unit now. Actually, I'm going to switch this off, switch that off. So the start stop is enabled there, and switch the engine off. The start stop light is off as normal. So yeah, that's basically the way the car would be by default. However, if I switch the start stop back on, see the engine starts up. And most importantly now, when I switch the ignition off, switch the car off, and switch it back on to start the engine up, a few seconds after it starts, it now remembers whether it was on or off, and it now switches the start stop off. So I will never now be plagued again by start stop. So I'm so happy with that. But also, if you hold this for 5 seconds, it goes into service mode. Press it for 5 seconds. 2, 4, 5. Now that's off now, so it should be in the default situation. So when I restart the engine, that shouldn't come back on now. Let's see, and it hasn't. So that's dormant now.